What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout, and today we're doing a community Q&A for Gameweek 23. So I put out a kind of hot topic on the website and also on Twitter asking for your questions. I've picked out 5 of the best ones without trying to go into too many questions about kind of triple captains, Mane, Salah, etc., because I'm sure that will all be discussed again next week anyway. So let's jump into it. So Duffy Dunk, which is a great name by the way, asks, while looking to triple up on Liverpool, we may need enablers. In particular in this question, looking at midfielders. So Decore picked out at 5.6 million, Trossard at 5.8 million. Watford have improved, he says, but they play Spurs, Villa, Everton and Brighton in the next 4 fixtures, whereas Brighton play Villa, Bournemouth, West Ham and Watford. What are my thoughts? So both great options for enablers, I think, around that kind of price point. There's not a huge amount of options, and I've looked at both of these myself. I've currently got Traore, who's a similar price as well. Did go off injured in the match in the FA Cup against Man United, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. We'll have to wait for more news on that. If you're looking between these two, I think Decore is quite interesting at the moment because he's playing as a number 10 for Watford, so he's playing a bit further forward and has done well recently. And if you look at the stats over the last 4 matches that they've played, he's had 4 more shots than Trossard, 1 more in the box and 3 on target, whereas Trossard's only had 1 on target, which isn't great for goal threat, but he has created 9 chances versus 5 for Decore, which is a little bit more promising as well. And I think if you look at the fixtures that they've played, Watford, or at least Decore, because he missed one of the last 4 game weeks, has played in the last 4 fixtures: Man United, Villa, Wolves and Bournemouth. So Villa and Bournemouth okay, Man United and Wolves maybe a little bit trickier, whereas Brighton have played Spurs. Trossard only played 14 minutes in that game, Bournemouth, Chelsea and Everton. So again, quite tough fixtures and maybe not, you might see basically an improvement in stats when they play in easier fixtures. So I think both of them tricky enough. I think given the fixtures that Decore's got coming up, Watford, I do think they're a little bit tougher. I think right now it's probably the best time to be playing Villa and Bournemouth. They're both conceding plenty of shots in the box. They're both the worst teams for that over kind of the last 4 game weeks. So Trossard looks like a really nice punt there. So out of these two, he'd probably be the one I'd look at. Out of the 2, there is the Fleck as well. I think he's only 4.9 million, so he could be an option as well at Sheffield United. Only issue is there they play Arsenal away and Man City at home next 2 fixtures, so probably not ideal, but after that the fixture run's pretty good. I know a lot of people are looking at maybe doubling up on Sheffield United defence, and Fleck could be an option as well. So if you do need an enabler, I think you've picked out some good ones. Traore may be an option, but Wolves fixtures get pretty tough now. So I like Trossard as a punt, just purely going for the fixtures, but don't ignore Fleck as well. So Copite65, simple question: Joe Gomez, 6 starts, 6 clean sheets. Matip is back in training. Could he be rotated? Gomez, that is, of course. Could we see Trent Alexander-Arnold rotated and put Gomez in right back? It would seem harsh for Gomez to be dropped. What are the thoughts? And I don't want to tell anyone, I don't want to sit here and tell anyone not to get a player. And obviously Gomez represents really good value. If Liverpool do pick up a couple of clean sheets, which they have obviously done, as you've stated in the question, 6 in a row already, then Gomez is going to get those clean sheet points just like everyone else is in that defence as long as he plays. But it's the goal threat that's not really there, but obviously he is a cheaper price. I think the fact that the question's even been asked, maybe it's a little bit of overthinking, but the fact it's been asked is it kind of tells you all you need to know about whether there is some kind of rotation threat. Now, I'm of the opinion that he's played so well, they've done 6 clean sheets in a row is brilliant, and that it does look unlikely that he would be rotated, but you never know in these situations. Now, last season I think it was, Gomez kind of started as the first choice and lost his place when he got injured, never really won it back. And kind of the opposite's happened this time. Obviously, Matip, Lovren all injured. Gomez is fully fit and has come in, has done really well. So it would seem like it's his place to kind of lose. Like, why would Klopp change such a winning formula right now? They weren't exactly doing well for clean sheets before this kind of change happened. Not that it's necessarily all Gomez, of course, but obviously a bit of a coincidence that he's come in and they've done really well. So I do like him as an option. I do think I'm not that worried about Trent Alexander-Arnold rotated or being rotated. I talked about that a bit at the start of the season, but it just doesn't seem likely now. He's so integral to the way they play, like him and Robertson on the wings. Gomez just doesn't offer that attacking threat. Yes, he's a bit better defensively, but as we've seen with him at the heart of centre-back, they've not really needed to worry about Trent Alexander-Arnold kind of getting rinsed down the right side. And he's defended well himself, and obviously attacking-wise, he's just a step above everyone else. So I do think it's probably a little bit of overthinking. I think at least for the double and kind of maybe the next couple of games after that, we're not going to see Matip come straight back in. But obviously a bit of a worry. My main concern with Gomez is, yes, you're getting clean sheets, you're probably not getting much else. And Liverpool, obviously best team in the league right now, really nice fixtures after the double. I'd want the more premium players, Van Dijk even, Robertson, Trent, Salah, Mane, and maybe even Firmino as well. So Gomez would be quite far down my list, but in terms of rotation, I probably wouldn't be hugely worried at the moment. So hopefully I'll pronounce this correctly. Jate Matt 01. Is it time to sell Leicester defensive assets? Only one clean sheet in the last 8 and tough fixtures to come from game week 25 to 27. And it's definitely something that I'm considering as a Soyuncu owner. Obviously, they've not been great recently. There is actually a really good article on fantasyfootballscout.co.uk about this exact subject. Loads of stats and stuff for each defender, kind of attacking threat, how they've been without Ndidi, etc. So if you get a bit of time after this video, definitely go and check that out. I think you almost have to forget the points that we've not got. Obviously, yes, they've not got many clean sheets over the last few weeks. We haven't got those points. We can't get them back, etc. So going forward, are they still good options? I think Ndidi out is a bit of a worry, but he's not going to be out for that long. He's probably going to be back within the next 2 or 3 game weeks. And the next 2 fixtures are Burnley away and West Ham at home. We're going to talk about West Ham assets in a minute, especially attackers. And I do think that out of those next 2 fixtures, there could be 1 or 2 clean sheets for Leicester, even without Ndidi, although he is a big miss, and we did see how many shots Southampton had in the last game. Now, like I said, I've had Soyuncu since kind of 4.5, 4.6 million, so I'm not in a huge rush to sell him. I think next 2 fixtures are okay, and yes, the 3 fixtures after that are pretty difficult, but then they get quite good again for Leicester, and obviously Ndidi comes back and shores up that defence, and that will really help. And I think it really depends what defenders you have to play each week. So I know for my own personal team, for example, probably going to have to play Soyuncu this week. But if I go double Liverpool defence for the double game week, then that's my 2 out of 3 defenders already sorted every single week. So I'm happy to play them every week. And I only need 1 more slot anyway. So Sheffield United fixtures, next 2 are not great. I don't really want to play Lundstrom. But after that, the fixtures are really good. So I could play him as my 3rd defender. And I'm not necessarily then looking to play Soyuncu anyway, so I can almost bench him, wait out the tougher game weeks, wait for Ndidi to come back, and then when the fixtures get good, potentially play him again. I wouldn't be too concerned about losing the money on him. Yes, I've made a bit of money, so I'm not in a huge rush to sell him, but at the end of the day, the only worry there is if you want them back straight away. If you don't, you can use that money elsewhere, so I wouldn't let that be a big concern. In terms of other defenders, kind of Pereira and Chilwell in particular, I do think because of their price tag, it's a little bit harder to hold on to them, and I probably would look to kind of shift them right now. But next 2 fixtures are okay. I'd start worrying after that. Throwback with a very simple question. Rashford off injured, sell or hold? Now, we don't know the full extent of the injury. He went off in the Wolves FA Cup game with a back injury. Solskjaer may or may not let us know in the press conference coming up on Friday what the actual issue is. He's been a bit weird with injuries and stuff, who's going to start, who isn't, and hasn't necessarily been kind of open with news, which I guess he doesn't have to be, but it would be helpful for FPL managers. Now, we will have a team news live stream tomorrow at 3:30 on this channel, so if you want to subscribe, obviously, and make sure you check that out. We will talk about press conferences that happen kind of today and tomorrow, and obviously if there is any news, we'll talk about it then. But right now, after the match, he's basically said, this is Solskjaer on Rashford, he struggled a little bit with a couple of knocks with his back lately, and he got another one which didn't help, and then before that he said, seems like he's got a knock and couldn't run. Obviously, that's a bit of an issue for a footballer. Let's test him in the next couple of days, and hopefully he's okay for Sunday. So we don't really know at the moment what the issue is. Now, he's on penalties and in good form. So obviously points potential is there for Liverpool, but it's going to be difficult, right? We've just said they've kept 6 clean sheets in a row. And I think I've seen some managers looking to maybe bench Rashford or Martial this week if they've got an 8th good attacker. So that kind of tells you what people are expecting. Like, I own him right now. I'm not expecting a huge amount of points against Liverpool, even if he's fully fit and ready to start. So I do think the fact it's a reoccurrence is a bit of a worry. Like, how many times is this going to happen down the line? I'm no doctor, I don't know for sure, but that would be a little bit of a worry I have now. I was thinking of selling anyway. Now, after the Liverpool game, it's Burnley at home, which is a pretty decent fixture. In fact, there's a really good stat I saw David post earlier on Twitter. So Burnley have played 7 matches against last season's top 6 this year. They've conceded 23 times at an average of 3.3 per game. So they're not doing well against the top 6. And playing at Old Trafford, I think that could be a really good game for Rashford. So if Solskjaer says he's out for 1 game or even fit for Liverpool, you can definitely see a reason to keep him. Potentially, it would have been a captain option if we didn't have the Liverpool double game week, but still a really good game for Rashford to have. But after that, the fixtures are not great. So Wolves, Chelsea, Watford, Everton, City, Man City, of course, and Spurs. So after the Burnley game, the fixtures are not great. So if you need an enabler to get your Liverpool players, then perhaps you could still sell him or pay. Calvert-Lewin are options there. Jimenez maybe, although the fixtures get a bit tough. Danny Ings is an obvious one if you don't own him, but I think it's a wait and see for him now. Let's see what Solskjaer says. If he's out for Liverpool, I'm probably going to sell, just cut my losses. Yes, the Burnley game's good, but there's no way I'm going to captain him when Liverpool are playing twice anyway. So I'm not too concerned. Then the fixtures get quite tough afterwards. But I think if you want to hold him, absolutely no harm in doing that. And last up, Colombo asks, are West Ham assets viable with Everton at home this week, then the double game week of Leicester and Liverpool, and then Brighton at home in game week 25? And I'm kind of someone who likes to get behind double game weeks. I kind of prefer to have players than not to have them. That's why I bought in Fabianski last week, which obviously did not turn out very well. And as short-term punts go, I think they're okay. You know, Everton at home, Brighton at home are decent enough. Everton quite tricky maybe, but I think Brighton at home is okay. And obviously you've got the double game week. Now, if those matches were spread over 4 game weeks, then there's absolutely no way you'd even be looking at West Ham. So again, maybe that tells you something. But the fact it's a double game week, you're going to get double the appearance points, hopefully, if they play both games. And obviously, if they get any attack and returns on top, then you suddenly start topping up the points quite nicely. And Brighton at home is not a bad way to finish it, but it is a pretty short-term punt. I don't know how long you're going to want to hold on to West Ham players for. Defensively, for example, I would definitely worry without Fabianski. They've basically said West Ham that he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Whether or not that will definitely be just a couple of weeks, maybe it'll turn into 3 or 4, we don't know at the moment. And obviously that probably means he's going to miss one, if not both, the games in the double game week. So I was already worried about having West Ham defensive options when Fabianski was fit. And without him, I just wouldn't be looking there at all. Randolph is signed, maybe he'll be better than the backup keepers they've got currently, but still wouldn't be an option for me defensively. I think looking at the attackers over the last 4 matches, so I've looked at the kind of ones that you can choose from right now that are fit. So Anderson, Noble, Snodgrass, Lanzini and Haller. And they've had 8 shots on target between them over the last 4 matches. So that's an average of 2 per game, which is not fantastic. Noble potentially an enabler. I didn't mention him earlier when we talked about midfield enablers. He's only 5 million on penalties, but I really wouldn't be expecting too much else from him. 2 chances created, 1 shot inside the box over the last 4. 0.07 expected goals, 0.07 expected assists. It's not looking likely to get any points outside of penalties. Will the Everton match be high scoring? I'd say Everton do well to keep the score down against West Ham. They didn't score against Sheffield United. Yes, they scored 4 against Bournemouth, but that's one of the best fixtures you can get as an attacker right now. And then you got Leicester and Liverpool. Are we expecting many attacker returns there? I certainly wouldn't be. So again, as a punt, it's double game week time. I get it. People want double game week players. That's absolutely fair enough. Everton double game week, Brighton at home. Not bad, but I just wouldn't be expecting too many points. You know, if you go for Haller, for example, up front, where does he fit in with Vardy, Ings, Rashford potentially if you're keeping him? Morpay's got good fixtures, Calvert-Lewin's got good underlying stats. It's just hard to put him in, I think. So I'm really not interested in West Ham assets personally. But if you do go for attackers, I wish you good luck. I'd love to see a double game week punt pay off. It could be the West Ham players, as everyone's going for Liverpool anyway. So that's it in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. There's loads of content coming out on this channel at the moment. Obviously that will continue throughout this season and way into next season as well. So make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below if you've got any comments to make on kind of the questions we've had. If you've got a different opinion, different answer, or any other questions that we didn't cover in this video, make sure to leave that down below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Like I said, Team News live stream tomorrow at 3:30, so make sure to check that out. And then we'll see you for Breakfast Club at 11:15 on Saturday. So like I said, plenty of content to come. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time.